Just like your boy Spencer on All-American, his dad pulling up to the game and watching him from a distance. That's how my biological father was. Didn't have enough courage to build the relationship, but I'm gonna watch you from afar. I'm hearing this around town. He going around to the barbershop. Yeah, y'all see my son? Yeah, my son. But bro, you don't know me. Bro, how you go around telling people you know me? Or look at what he doing. How can you be proud of somebody you don't even know? Right? It would embarrass me to watch my son, watch my daughter be successful, and I have nothing to do with it. They just bear my last name. That would be more painful. Right? So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to make this name great. I'm going to be better than the person that gave me the last name. And I'm flawed myself, just like my biological father is flawed as well, right? But being a father ain't about being perfect. It's about being present. What up, everybody? It's your boy JK. Today is Thursday, so you already know what it is. It's Tackle Thursday with JK live on IG. And I'm recording for my YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to, Jeremy Kellem. You can get the podcast live on IG, like right now, or you can get the podcast on replay if you want to watch and listen simultaneously. That's on YouTube. And then if you drive and you just want to listen to the to the podcast, you can do that on Anchor or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, man. So definitely go ahead and make sure after this episode, y'all go ahead and go and follow me on all those platforms. Subscribe, listen to. Hey, if y'all want to support the Tackle Thursday with JK podcast financially or monetarily, you could do so at $ WeImpactNow CashApp, man. So, hey, we take the support through likes, through follows, through shares, through subscriptions, but we also take monetary support to keep everything going and being able to, fund the podcast as well. All right, and so today, man, we are tackling the topic, man. We tackling the topic. The topic is I met my biological father on mistake. Yes, I did. I met my biological father on mistake. All right, and so, man, I know we coming up on Father's Day, and this whole month, my guests I brought on, that I brought on so far. I had Lamont Ramsey on last week, really talking about how proud he is of his two sons, and we talked about just being a father and the lessons that he's learned, and he shared and dropped gems, and last year, I brought my father on, right? I brought my father on, and anybody that know my situation, I was raised by my stepfather, but to me, he's not my stepfather. He's the only father I know. He's my dad, right? And so I came from that angle, and we talked about how great our relationship is and things we learned and how much I appreciated him for taking, care and taking me in, being responsible for me, even though I was another man's responsibility, right? And so today I'm coming from a different angle a little bit, and I'm coming from more so just being a little bit more vulnerable and talking about my situation and my experience with my own biological father, right? And so as Father's Day come along, right, we acknowledging great fathers out there, great dads, great fathers, whether you biological or you're not biological, or you just stepping in and playing a father figure role in somebody's life. And with this topic, man, I know that there are so many other people out there that father was an absentee father, had nothing to do with them, right? And so I want to share, my experience as a child, as a person, as a man, as an adult who has no relationship with his biological father. And I want to talk about the lessons that I have gained, or the things I've learned from the absence of my biological father, right? And then I got a question I'm gonna propose at the end, and maybe, you know, later on somebody could drop comments or you know, share with me what they think I should do, right? And so, like I say, the title for today's podcast, right, the episode for today is I Met My Biological Father on Mistake, right? So for me to delve or dive deeper into this, I got to make sure I share with y'all the actual story, let y'all know what actually happened, right? And so I grew up down there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right? As I got older, my mom, she told me like, hey, you know, she broke it down to me, explained like, hey man, you know, your dad is not not your biological dad. Like, he's not your real dad, like blood dad, right? But to me, that's all I know. So my stepfather, Robert Perry, that's my father, that's my dad, right? But, you know, my mom did her due diligence. She took care of her responsibility and informing me and letting me know what the real was, right? And so growing up, for whatever reason, man, I thought my dad, my biological father, I should say, I thought he looked a certain way, right? If you ever seen my mom is a lighter tone, lighter skin. Yeah, bro, hey, it did hurt, and I'm gonna get to that, bro. I'm gonna get to that, twin. And so my mom is a lighter skin, you know, lady, right? A light skin woman. And so if you see me, obviously you can see me right now, but you might be listening to this on the podcast. So go to JK_impacts on Instagram and you can see my skin tone, right? So I'm you know, brown, you know, brownish, right? A little darker brown. And so I remember this, I got this image in my mind, but obviously it was wrong, but I got this image in my mind. I grew up with this image that my biological father was dark skinned, right? And so I used to tell people in my classes and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, you know what I'm saying? My mom light skinned, my dad dark skinned, and that's how I get kind of in the middle, right? Because I just remember walking around at the park, Little League Park one time, and I just thought that I seen or I heard, and I got this image, I still got this image in my mind of that person I thought I seen that night, right? So my whole, you know, so I was a jit. And so all through, you know, middle school, even into high school, I'm thinking that that's how he actually looked, right? And so so like I said, I never had seen him. I never had met him, never had seen him. And so what ended up happening was we had a playoff game, right? My junior year in high school. This is 2005. So about late October, maybe early November 2005, we had a playoff game, and our game ended up being on a Saturday. So we played the playoff game. We got the dub. I got mouse though that game, but that joint was bad. We played BA, but I made up for it next game though with 2 picks. But anyways, that's another story for another day. All right, but anyways, so after the game, I ended up going to a Little League game, right? So I went to a Little League football game. And while I was outside at the Little League game, one of my teammates that I played with in high school, his dad went to high school with my mom, right? And so Coach Adolph, right? And so Coach Adolph was like, I'm at the park, so I run into Coach Adolph out there, and he was just like, you know, Jeremy, have you ever met your biological father before, right? So shout out to Coach Adolph for this, man. And I was like, nah, I never seen him. You know what I mean? And so he was like, have you ever seen him? I was like, nah. And so I'm 16 now. So he was like, you want to see him? And you know, looking back now that I teach kids, I got kids of my own, I understand how like emotionally kids, you feel something, but you don't really want to say how you really feel. So when he asked me, I was like, I guess so, right? I can't like, I think I gave him like a nonchalant, like, I don't know, I guess so, right? And so he was like, all right, come on, right? So Coach Adolph walked me over a few, you know what I'm saying, went over probably not a far distance, right? And we stood. He was like, he pointed, he was like, there he is right there. And so here I am, 16 years old, I'm watching my biological father coach other young boys, right? I'm a boy at that time, 16, right? So they probably was like 2 years younger than me, the team he was coaching. I'm watching him coach other young boys. He's taking them through dynamic warm-up. Now, mind you, his biological son, just had a playoff game earlier that day. I don't know if he showed up. I don't know, right? I don't know, right? But I just had a game early on that day. But instead of being at the game, watching his own son, I now watching him, I'm seeing him coach kids that's not even his. So I'm, even like when I look back and reflect right now, like I'm processing, like, yo, like for the first time in my life, I'm laying eyes on my biological father. And the thing I'm catching him do is something that he never did with me. Let's take a quick break from the show. I got a quick question for you. Are you looking for a new book to add to your book collection? Are you looking for a new good read? And if your answer is yes, then I encourage you to go get you the copy of this book written by Sandra F. Hope, Goodbye Fear. If we all are honest, we have experienced fear, faced fear, had to overcome fear, or maybe even be dealing with fear right now in some area of our lives. Well, the author Sandra F. Hope does a great job of identifying practical strategies, practical ways that you can utilize to identify the root of your fear, but not only identify the root of your fear, but how to silence the fear, how to overcome your fear and live a life filled with faith and confidence. So you can go get you a copy of Goodbye Fear at sandrafholt.com. SandraFholt.com. I promise you, you will not be disappointed when you read this book written by author Sandra F. Holt, Goodbye Fear. Now let's back to the episode. We go. And that was my first encounter. I seen him on mistake, right? And so I have to process this at 16 years old, like, oh, like, dang, my biological father, like, I always knew he was right down the street. Like, so if you look at Broward County, or whatever, wherever you from, that you listening from, you think about two adjacent cities. Like, so in Fort Lauderdale, you might have said North Lauderdale and Lauderdale Lakes, right? Like two adjacent cities type things like that, or in, you know, high school like Deerfield and Pompano, right? So I was playing at Lauderhill, right? And so the other part was literally like 15, 20 minutes away. And so I'm processing that, dang, my biological father is coaching at a park, our rival park. But he got a son that's playing at the other park that he has nothing to do with, right? So that's how I met him on mistake. That's how I seen him on mistake. So the title is I Met Him on Mistake, right? So fast forward 5 months later. So when I seen him on mistake, that was November 2005. When I met him on mistake, that was May 2006. So basically my spring semester of my junior year, right? So me and my mom, we coming out of this store and Webster, so it's kind of like an academy, right? I was getting some spat, you know, we got to stay clean out there at Deerfield, you feel me? You know how we do, right? So I'm getting some, you know, had to go get some spat, had to go look nice, get good, you know, look nice for the game. And as we walking out of as we were walking out of the store, I heard my mom say, she said, hey, Mr. Kellem, you see my son? I'm looking around like, what is my mama talking about? I'm the only Mr. Kellem. Like, what's she talking about, right? And so it dawned on me, because it was like, so his response was, my biological father's response was, yeah, I see him, right? Like, yeah, I know who he is. So I'm like, I'm still lost, because I'm like, yo, like, I'm the only Mr. Kellem. Like, what are y'all talking about? And then it dawned on me. And I was like, whoa, this what my biological father really looked like, right? I'm like, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? Imagine you having this image, because even when I seen him for the first time on mistake, it's like I seen him for those quick minutes. It was nighttime. I seen him from a distance, but I ain't get to look in his face. I ain't get to see, you know what I'm saying, facial features and things like that. And so this is my first time. I'm like, whoa, okay, this is the guy that I got my last name from. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine you born and you know you got parents, or you know you came from somebody, but you never seen that person. You just know you exist. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, on mistake, they in your face, right? And so definitely, Melvin, yeah, most definitely, bro. And I think it was kind of hard to process that all in that time at 16. To really understand the magnitude. Like now as an adult, I look back, I see the magnitude. I think in the moment it was just kind of hard to process, right? And so he was like, yeah, I know who he is, right? So homie kept going in the store. You would have thought I was a stranger. You feel me? But being an adult now, right? So I'm gonna go over the rest of the story, then I explain what I mean by that, right? So me and my mom got in the car. He went in the store, went to shop, probably for his team, right? That he's coaching, right? And so we we sat in the car. Me and my mom going back and forth. I was like, Mom, you think I should get out and say something? She was like, I don't know, Jeremy, it's up to you. And so I was like, you know what I'm saying? So we just left. So we got down the road, probably like a minute, 30 seconds to a minute. I said, nah, I'm gonna turn around. I said, I'm gonna say something, right? Pull back up to the store. We waiting outside, wait for him to get out, come out. Boom, he came out, hopped out the car. I was like, man, I said, man, why you lying to my mama talking about you know me? He was like, man, I do know you. I'm like, bro, you don't know me. He's like, nah, I do. Right? But that's all he said to me. And so, being a younger Jeremy, I'm like, dang, I ain't get no apology. He ain't say sorry. He ain't say how you doing. It was just like I was, you know what I'm saying? It didn't faze him, right? Like I want his own seed. So looking back now as an adult, he wasn't ready for that. Because as a father, I believe that why it's easier for fathers to walk away from their own kids, and it shouldn't happen, but why it's easier is because I believe that a father's relationship with their kids has to be intentional. And I learned that through me becoming a father, right? So when Brittany had JK and when she had Jayla, she had already knew them for 9 months. They was in her stomach. So the relationship she has with them comes natural. The moment she has them, she been knowing them for 9 months. With a father, we don't know that kid. When the kid is in the stomach, we don't know that kid. When the kid comes out, that's our first day getting to know that kid. While the mother has been knowing them for 9 months. It's day one for us. And so if you aren't intentional with that relationship, then as a man, you can end up not loving your kid because you wasn't intentional in cultivating that relationship. So when I look at my biological father, why in that moment when he finally got to actually see me face to face at, at 16, why he probably couldn't even say anything else was because one, the longer the time goes, the more pride got built up inside him where he can't apologize. Come on, after 16 years, it ain't no, if you ain't say sorry in 16 years, bro, you ain't saying sorry. If you ain't trying to build a relationship in 16 years, bro, you probably not gonna try to build a relationship, right? And so I understand that he probably had so much pride, and so much time had went by that for him to even apologize, he would have had to come to that conclusion by himself. In other words, he would have had to come to Jesus moment where he said, okay, you know what? I'm going to reach back. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to find Jeremy and I'm going to do this because I'm ready to apologize. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't ready for that because all he was going to do is going to shop in a store. And all of a sudden, what you've been running from hit you dead in the face. You've been running from your son. It hit you dead in the face. Now what? Right? So now as an adult, I understand why he couldn't say nothing else. He wasn't ready for that. That John hit him dead in the face. Oh, boom, hit a son you've been running from 16 years, hit a son, right? So I met him on mistake, right? So I seen him on mistake. I met him on mistake, right? And so, sometimes I have to I'm a type of person, I guess, sometimes I don't really connect with maybe the reality of a situation. And it wasn't until probably my sophomore year, I just remember at Deerfield, I was sitting in the class. I think I was in Mr. Tazi class. Y'all know Mr. Tazi class. All right. And I was just remember so my classmates like saying like, man, you know, my biological father ain't in my life. My biological, you know, I don't know my father. And then, you know, I really didn't feel it because my dad was in my life, right? The man that I knew to be my dad, Robert Perry, he was in my life. So I couldn't really connect to a certain extent on, oh, my biological father wasn't there. But that something about that day, my sophomore year, I was like, dang. I was like, bro, I'm a statistic. Literally, I'm a statistic. I'm an African-American man, and I don't know my biological father. So statistics say I'm probably going to be a dropout. I'm probably going to go to jail. I'm probably going to be nothing based on being a statistic, right? So that's when I really started to like tap into that void of, dang, my biological father, bro, he just going around by his life and I'm out here, right? And the crazy thing is, like when I watched the show All American, like that joint is real life. Like it is a true story, but I'm saying like I seen that in my own life. Like my first college game, when I played at MTSU, we played back at the crib against FAU. So at the game, I see somebody in the stands. They all the way up in the stands by themselves, right? I didn't know who it was. I'm out there playing, but I just seen somebody up there. Kind of find out it was him. Just like your boy Spencer on All American, his dad pulling up to the game and watching him from a distance. That's how my biological father was. Didn't have enough courage to build the relationship, but I'm gonna watch you from the far. I'm hearing this around town. He going around to the barbershop. Yeah, y'all see my son? Yeah, my son. But bro, you don't know me. Bro, how you go around telling people you know me? Or look at what he doing. How can you be proud of somebody you don't even know? Right? It would embarrass me to watch my son, watch my daughter be successful, and I have nothing to do with it. They just bear my last name. That would be more painful. Right? So so that is how I end up meeting my biological father. And, you know, my dad, which I thank him for this, right? When I was younger, I wanted to change my last name to Perry, right? Yeah, hey, nah, that's real, bro. Sounds like regret watching from afar. Hey, that's real. That's deep, though. That's deep. Hey, I appreciate that. That is a sign of regret, you know, not really having the courage to come closer, but knowing like, dang, I missed out, but I want to be there. So that's real. Kev and Deborah, that's real. Yeah, so I wanted to change my last name when I was younger to Perry, but my father was like, nah, he's like, I'm gonna let you get older. Before I let you change your name, I'm gonna let you make the decision. I don't want you to do it right now because I want you to like fully understand what you're doing. And I thanked him so much for that, because not because I didn't want his last name, because you know what I'm saying, like I say, that's the only father I got. But I thank him so much because I wear that Kellem last name with pride, because I'm going, in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna make this name great. I'm gonna be better than the person that gave me the last name. And I'm flawed myself, just like my biological father is flawed as well, right? But being a father ain't about being perfect. It's about being present. You know what I'm kind of saying? So I'm not over here like, oh, he should be perfect. Nah, I'm just like, bro, you should have been present, right? And so when I think about the lessons that I take from my biological father not being in my life, the lessons that I take from that is, one, the lesson I take from that is, and I encourage everybody out there, man, is the lesson, right? The first lesson is, I encourage everybody out there, is take care of home first, right? Take care of home first. So what I mean by that is that when I seen my biological father on mistake and he was out there coaching other kids, right? To many people, I'm pretty sure he impacted so many young kids' lives. And this was crazy, bro. This is what's crazy, because like my wife, we was talking, right? Because my wife, you know what I'm saying, my wife is a researcher. So like put, you know what I'm saying, I didn't see pictures of him on Facebook because I didn't know what he looked like really, right? Seeing him 2 times in my life, I don't know what he looked like, But when I see him, I'm like, dang, I look just like Buddy, right? I'm like, dang, okay, I get my build from him. Right? But the thing is, everything he was doing, that's what I'm doing. Just like he was pouring into those kids' lives, I pour into kids' lives. When I think about football, right? When I think about football, he played football. So I'm thinking, because I didn't have a relationship with him, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, this is just what I do. But then when I see what he's doing, I'm like, oh, I got that from him. Like those gifts, that interest, that passion came from him, right? And so when I say take care of home first, what I mean is to many parents and to the kids he worked with, he probably was the most amazing man ever, right? And impacted and changed so many lives. But to the one that it mattered the most, right? Or it matters the most to, your own son, or this particular son, because I know you got more kids, but I can't say that about you. And so what I'm saying is we got to take care of home first, is that, like, for me as a teacher, I teach kids every day. I speak life into kids every day. I impact kids every day, right? So if I can do that every day for somebody else's kid, but I can't come home and teach my own kid, I can't come home and have time to go outside with my own kid, I can't come home and pour into my own kid's life, then I failed. And no matter how great my students think I am, no matter how great parents think I am, if I ain't doing it at home, bruh, I ain't doing nothing. So whatever the gifts or the things that we have that the world knows us for, keep doing those things. But make sure that you taking care of home first, because if you ain't doing it at home, if you could treat everybody else, if I could go to work and treat everybody else nice and everybody with respect, right? But I can't come home and treat my wife and kids with respect, what am I doing? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, right? I'm not gonna say I come home and have a good day every day, but the point is that I gotta make sure that I have a mindset and I place emphasis on, hey, if I'm gonna speak life into these kids' life that ain't mine, I need to do the same thing with my own kids, right? If I could go ahead and treat people nice at my job or in this world, I could sure enough treat my wife and kids nice, right? And so, and the second lesson that I learned, right, is that we as parents, we give our kids identity, right? We give them identity. And one thing I realized, man, about just being not being raised by my biological father or not having a relationship, I say forget the raising part, because the raising, I didn't need him to raise me, right? God blessed me with my father for that. But not having a relationship with my biological father, right? I lacked identity. And identity is something that, as a person, as a man, that that I had to fight and battle and struggle with, right? Because there is no Kellem man on this earth that I have a relationship with that I can look to and find something in common with. I don't know what runs in a Kellem. I don't know health-wise what runs in my family, in my genes. I don't know. I don't know where I get my walk from. I don't know where I get certain characteristics from, because I don't have any connection or relationship with my biological father. So as a result, I lack identity in certain areas as a man, as a Kellem man, because I have no relationship with my biological father. So you get what I'm saying? Like, that's like taking an Apple phone and taking it to Dale. Like, you're like, bruh, the Apple phone, like, bruh, I got no identity. I can't find myself in no Dell store, right? That's how it is. It's like, yo, okay, like, what runs in my family? Like, why do I do this as a man? Well, dang, if I had a relationship with my biological father, then I could understand my identity. I could know more of who I am if he was in my life, right? And so, let me hold on right quick. So I can do this. Just a minute. Continue my recording. All right. So, if he was in my life, I would have that identity. I would have a person that I can say, all right, that's why I get certain things from. Obviously, I got my mama, but my mama is a woman, right? My mama ain't no man. So it's certain things as a man that I need to help with my identity on who I am as a Kellem man that only my biological father could give me. So parents, when I say that we're responsible, we play a huge part in giving our kids identity. Like, I literally see that with me and Brittany raising JK and Jayla. Like, JK said to me today, while I was at the barbershop a few hours ago, he looked at me, he said, Dad, am I a football player like you? I said, yeah. That's him finding his identity by looking at me, right? He said, my son literally looked at me. He must have knew I was talking about this tonight. My son looked at me and said, he was playing the game on his phone. He looked at me, he said, Dad, am I a football player like you? That's him looking for identity, right? Now, obviously, we're teaching him, hey, bro, football is what you do. It's not who you are. But the point is that he's looking, finding out, seeking, learning who he is as a man, as a Kellem man. And guess who he goes to? He goes to his reflection, me. So when I grew up looking for my identity as a Kellem man, I didn't have that reflection. So when people ask me, oh, why you named him JK, you want a junior? Yeah, I wanted to name him after me, but I don't even call him junior. I call him JK. Because at the end of the day, he gonna have his own identity with his own friends. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna take his first initial of his first name and the first initial of his last name, and they're gonna call him JK, right? But I wanted to have a mini me, and I wanted to make sure I'm present in my son's life, so when he got questions like that, because it's gonna be deeper questions, he comes to me and asks. And I wanna be here, and I'm gonna be here, as long as God bless me to be on this earth, I'm gonna be here to answer those questions, right? So I heard, so we gotta understand, parents, that we give our kids identity, right? Even when I'm looking at Jayla, like, if y'all see how Jayla pretends to put makeup on, when I say she got Brittany down to a T, it is crazy, but I love it because Brittany is present, because Brittany is in Jayla's life, raising her, loving her. Jayla is finding her identity as a woman by looking at the reflection, which is her mom. So as parents, our role, we got to take care of home, right? It don't matter what we do in the world if we ain't taking care of home first, right? And then we got to understand that we give identity. And specifically, right, I heard the pastor say this on TikTok. Hey, TikTok, bro, TikTok University is real, right? So I heard the pastor say this because I knew how important, because through my research, my spiritual growth, how important identity is, right? Because I started to research identity and stuff like that, right? Because I'm like experiencing attacks with identity, and I'm looking it up in the spiritual, you know what I'm saying? Looking it up, and that is how the devil came after Jesus. The devil attacked Jesus' identity. He said, if you are who you say you are, you'll get yourself down from the cross. I'm paraphrasing. He said to him, if you are who you say you are, you will do that. If you are, so the devil attacked Jesus' identity. But Jesus got a father though. Jesus know where he come from, right? So Jesus was able to tell, hey, nah, this is what my father said. My father said I'm this, or this is who I am, right? So Jesus knew who he was, so he was able to cast down anything that came up against his identity. So parents, right? That's why we got to make sure we in our kids' lives, because even if you're not with the mother or the father of your child, you got to make sure you're there, because you help give them that identity. Then I heard a pastor on TikTok say the other night, he said that specifically the men have been given the ability to give identity. Because he was like, man, think about Adam. God let Adam identify and name every animal and species. He gave him the power to give identity, even when it came down to Eve, right? So as men specifically, why it's so important to be in our kids' life? Because we help them know who they are. We help them know. Man, there's a lot of questions I wish I could have asked my biological father. Bruh, like, dog, you know what I'm saying? Why this? Like, you feel this way? Like, okay, growing up, like, yeah, he could have hit me with, yeah, son, you know, like, when I was 16, I ain't had that. Right? And so, man, it's crazy, though. It's crazy, because even now, like, the more I think about it, it's like, what a part of me is actually missing because I don't have a relationship with him, right? And so the last thing I just want to say, man, to end it, is I want to propose the question, like, do y'all think I should amend the relationship with my biological father, right? Like, what y'all think? You know what I'm saying? Y'all can drop in the chat below. Like, do you think I should amend? Do you think I should go and seek that relationship? Should I try to reconcile the relationship with him? Like, what y'all think? If you know what I'm saying, live, you can type it in the chat. Those that's watching, you know, that see this on YouTube, man, drop it right now. Y'all watch it on YouTube. Hey, type in a comment. What y'all think? Y'all think I should amend the relationship? Should I try to reconcile? Right? And I'll give you how I feel about it. But, you know what I'm saying? I would like to hear what other people, right? 'Cause I heard different people tell me different things, and I get it, right? So for me, I personally, at this point in my life, 33, yeah, your boy hit the big 33 this week, you know what I'm saying, getting up there. Still a young adult, though. I know y'all might be, no, still a young adult, right? Still a young adult, in my eyes. But I think, man, at this point in time, I don't know if I would want a relationship with him. I don't really think I should try to reconcile. I think that I probably, if anything, a conversation answers. Because I think having a conversation, not so much a relationship, but having a conversation, I think will help me learn more about who I am. And it will help me learn more about who I am as a man, more about who I am as a father, and in good and maybe not so good ways. It might let me know, like, things about my personality that I might not like. Having that conversation with him may give me answers and understanding to where I'm able to say, all right, okay, he went through this, he experienced, oh, okay, that's why, okay, got it. That's why got, you know what I'm saying, get it from, right? Just like I see my son do certain things right now, and it reminds me of me. And it reminds me, and because I'm there and I see it, I'm able to be like, nah, don't do that, son. He don't know why I'm saying that, but I know why. Because I'm like, nah, I used to do that, and I want you to be better than me, so don't do that, right? And so I think that maybe getting some answers like that would give me, you know, a better understanding. I see Melvin, you said, if it's important to you, then reconcile it. Will help you and your son and daughter. You said, yes, it would give you some type of closure. And the crazy thing is, bro, I definitely could see that, right? I definitely see that. And the more I get older, I'm like, yeah, bro, it definitely probably, you know what I'm saying, would give some type of closure, some answers to some questions that I have, because you know what I'm saying, because I just don't have certain answers. But, you know, I'm not fully committed on it. And this is just me being transparent. This is me just being vulnerable, being 100 on just kind of where I sit. And that's why, you know, this is probably like one of my most vulnerable episodes on just like kind of backstory about me, and not even just because a lot of times I share about stuff that I went through and I kind of overcame. In this particular episode, I'm sharing with you like what I'm going through. Like, I ain't gonna say going through, but what I'm feeling, emotions I deal with right at this moment as I'm talking to y'all. So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think it could bring closure, man. You know, I would have to, you know, me reaching out, man, I ain't even gonna lie. Like, I don't have any hate in me at all. It ain't no hate at all. Hey, I feel you, Melvin. Hey, I feel you, bro. Hey, I feel you, dog. I respect that, man. So, you know, but like I said, man, it's no hate in me at all, man. I got no hate in them. I mean, I got no hate in me towards them at all, because only hate will hurt me. But nah, I feel you. It hurts. Hey, it does. It hurts, but I don't hate them at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know them. You know, so to hate somebody, one, at all, but to hate somebody you don't even know is like, bro, what are you doing? You know. And so I had somebody tell me this before, and I'm gonna get off. I had somebody tell me this, like, man, you know, try to understand that what he could have been facing, right? What did he deal with? What emotions could he have been experiencing that may have played into the decision on why he chose to not be in your life, or what demons he might have been fighting. So as a person, you know what I'm saying, I gotta understand. That's why I was saying earlier in the show, like, episode, why, like, I can understand certain things on why he couldn't have that conversation with me that day. Like, he human, and ain't no telling how his childhood was. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no telling how his childhood was. So, you know, I understand that, and you know, and I, like I say, I don't hate him at all. I don't know him, but I still think at the end of the day, like, it comes a time and a point where, despite what we all, just like me, like, despite lacking that relationship with my biological father, I can't sit up here and say, okay, I ain't gonna be no good father then, cause you know my father wasn't there. Did it? I can't say that. You know, that would be unfair to JK and Jayla. It's not their fault, right? So I think at some point in time, like we gotta man up and face, you know what I'm saying, you know, face what other men have met, you know. So but yeah, that's kind of where I sit at with it. Let me see. He said, if you decide to reach out, go into it with no expectations. He may be receptive. He may the objective is to get clarity, closure, but you have to be okay with not getting that potentially. Yeah, that's real. Like, don't go in there thinking I'm about to get everything I wanted out of it, right? Nah, that's real, sis. That's real. Appreciate that. Yeah, you know what life man did to him. Like, and so I, you know, so I definitely aware of that, man, and appreciate that, Melvin. Appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And you know, so like I say, you know, I understand that life happens to us all, and life affects us all, and you know, there is no playbook to being a parent. It's not, you know. But like I said, I guess, like, for me, I don't expect him, or I didn't expect him to be perfect, just present. You get what I'm kind of saying? And so, like, I don't need him to be a father. You know, it's just more of, you know, maybe communicate. Like, I think about, and this is the last thing I said, and I get out. I know I'm closing like a Baptist preacher right now, like 5 closes. But like, I look back, right? You know, we go through things, and with the hopes of being able to tell our kids something to do different, to get further, or to just be better, to be more successful, right? And so when I think about him, and I followed in his footsteps without even knowing it. He played football. He made it all the way to, you know, the NFL, as far as, like, I think workout status. He was with the Falcons, potentially signing or something like that, or working out with them. And I look at my football career. The highest I made was, or the closest I made was, I had to work out with the Jets in the NFL. And but I, you know, right? And so I see the similarities. That's real though. That's a lot right there. Pray for him as well. But hey, God does tell us love others as if we love, you know, as, you know what I'm saying, we love ourselves. So if I pray for myself, God pray for him. That's a lot though. That's what God would want. So I appreciate that, Melvin. So when I look at like where he went and where I went, right? It's almost like he walked down the same road that I walked down, but he wasn't there to say, hey, go left, go right, because I went right. But if you go left, you gon' right? It was like I walked down the same road, but you wasn't there to even be able to give me any advice. And so I'm not saying, like, at the end of the day, I didn't make it to the league because that just wasn't what God had for me. And it was decisions like me, my fear of failure at that particular time when I first came out. So it was a lot of factors. The point of that I'm trying to say is that I believe that there are things that we go through as parents in our lives that if we're present in our kids' lives, we could share with them, and it will allow them to make a different turn, a different choice. If they choose to listen, that could be better off for them. It could get them further. It can make them more successful, because what we go through is not just for ourselves. He didn't go all the way to the Falcons for himself. Yeah, it was for him, but dude, you had a son that did the same thing, but you weren't here. So for me, now I'm raising my son. If my son want to play sports, great. Right? I know y'all be seeing the video, but I really be like telling Brittany, I was like, you know what I'm saying? I just be posting stuff like this because I know probably people think I be like really, but I really don't be on it. Like that. I'm like, okay, this is fun. You know what I'm saying? Now, as he get older, if he want to do it for real, all right, we're going to be into it. But still, it's what he want to do. But the point is just like, hey, I'm able to guide my son and daughter in whatever they want to do in certain things because of what I already went. And it's my responsibility to share what I learned so they can be better. So in buying a house, when my kids get ready to buy a house, I'm able to share, hey, look, did what we did, that hey, I'm able to put them in a better situation because that's what I'm supposed to do. Right? So, but yeah, man, I ain't gonna hold y'all up, man. Hey, I appreciate y'all, Melvin, Lil Sis, Wifey got on. Man, all y'all, man, that got on. Kev, Deborah, everybody, Twin. Hey, if I miss you, my bad. Sister, all y'all, man. Hey, I appreciate y'all listening, man. To the Tackle Thursday with JK podcast, man. The episode titled, I Met My Biological Father on Mistake. Right? And so, man, if you missed the beginning on how I met him, how I seen him on mistake, go ahead, catch this on replay. I'm going to put it up on, YouTube and on my podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts in the coming week. But, either way, you can watch the replay of the live right after this. All right? So, hey, y'all continue to wake up, strive to win on purpose, be intentional about winning, and y'all have a blessed day, man. Thank y'all.